This is Eric Kaiser. I am a CSE with Cisco for the WSA support. In this video, I'm going to show you how to use grep. Grep is used to troubleshoot URL issues. In other words, a PC can't get to a particular website, and you want to have a basic understanding as to what is happening in the background on the WSA when this PC makes a request out to the internet. Essentially, we're going to need two things in order to troubleshoot a particular issue. One, you're going to need the IP address of the PC. The second thing is you're going to need the URL that's, for whatever reason, not being displayed, or getting a block page maybe, or maybe even a 404, or who knows, maybe even bad gateway timeout, who knows. So the first thing you're going to want to do is you're going to want to get to your command line, whether it's PuTTY or Secure CRT or who knows what it is, and you're going to want to connect via SSH to the WSA. Once you're there, you'll want to type the command grep, as you're seeing here, and type enter. The thing you want to verify is whether or not the access logs is, what option it is, and this is the option right here. So I'm going to type number 1, enter. Now I need my IP address, so I will open up, oops, looks like I did a little mistake there. Actually, I'll just open up another tab, type ifconfig, and I will find my IP address. Here it should be, let's see, here it is. Should be it right here. So I will come back and I will actually redo my grep. Grep enter. I know number 1 is the access logs. I will now paste my IP address in to the regular expression field. Enter. Next, I will use the default for this particular question and the default this as well, and then yes to tail and default for this answer. You can already see I have traffic going through the WSA, and I'm using Firefox for my browser, not the Chrome browser, which I also use. So currently what I'm going to do is I'm going to log into my WSA, and I'm going to block all categories just to kind of give you an idea of what it looks like when you set, when I guess a particular category or a URL is being blocked by the WSA versus like a page 404 or gateway timeout, that sort of thing. So let me commit my changes. All right, so currently we have, actually, let me check this out. I don't want to, let's see, select all, and I make sure they're all being blocked because it said monitoring 1, which we don't want on this particular test. And I submitted it. Now I need to commit my change. That's interesting. Huh. Okay. Let's just check this out one more time. Let's make sure nothing's set to monitor, and nothing is. Oh, uncategorized URLs. Okay, that's fine. Let's go back to our access policies and do a reload. Okay, so now if I drag this over here and go to Google, it should get blocked, and that's exactly what happens. I get blocked, and we should see it here in the logs here in a second or so. Let me try that again, see if we get that. Probably didn't catch it. There we go. So now you're probably wondering, how do I even begin to understand what all this is? These are, essentially our access logs. And I'll kind of go over them briefly, and then I'll show you a place where you can get more information on them, like a per field type scenario, or per field definition. So this is your Unix epoch timestamp. This is where each new request is made. Excuse me. This is how many milliseconds it took to complete the transaction. This is my IP address. This is our HTTP transaction result field. This is a code, so excuse me. Essentially, it's saying we're denied, and we can tell based on the HTTP status code, which is this particular field here. A 403 means we're blocked by access policy. It doesn't mean that anything else is blocking us. It means that WSA is blocking us. You can see up here where I was connecting to the WSA's management interface here. You can see where it's a TCP-MS 200. That means everything's happy, it's successful, we're good to go. Now that I know that this is denied based on an access policy, and I'm looking at the URL going, yep, that's the URL that was being blocked, I can then come down to the second line. I can look at my category, what the action is on the category. It's block, web category. Then I come over. This is your access policy. This is very important. You always want to pay attention to this field, and you can always follow it based on once you can find whether it's allowed or blocked. You then can look to this minus sign, and then directly to the right is your access policy. Directly to the right of that here is your identity. Those two fields you want to pay close attention to. The next thing you want to look at is this particular field here. What this is your category. It's an abbreviation, and once I show you how to read the access logs, or I show you the guide on how to read the access logs, you can actually pull a list of all these categories to understand exactly what it is that you're blocking or possibly why it's blocked. The next thing you're looking at is this. This is your WBRS score. Excuse me. This is very important. If it's a -6 or below, as long as you haven't changed the default blocking value on WBRS, the slider, -6 and below is blocked. So this is a positive 8.4, so we know that's not the issue. But to be honest with you, we already know what the issue is based on this 403. It's my access policies. So I'll now go in to my access policies under Web Security Manager in the GUI of the WSA. I will click on the URL filtering column, and I'm going to set, actually, search engines to monitor, and then we're going to do the test again. So there we go. Now I'm going to go ahead and submit that. I need to move my page over so I can see what I'm doing. Let me go ahead and submit. And let me go ahead and commit this, and commit again. And there we go. So now I'm monitoring search engines. Once again, let me move this over so we can watch our access logs. I will space them apart. There we go. Let's go to google.com. And there you go. Now we're now allowed to go to google.com, and we notice that our HTTP transaction result code changed from a 403 for just google.com to a TCP-MS, which is successful, and there's our HTTP status code, which is also essentially saying it's successful. I know I'm allowing google.com, but if we go down here, we can also see that this changed, allow WBRS. So we're now happy, and we verified our access policy and our identity. We do notice down here that we have another 403, and this is a part of Google. But if I come down here, I look at this category, it's infrastructure. So if I want to allow it, I can. Once again, go back into my access policy, and then I can go into find infrastructure, and there it is right here. And I will set it to monitor, and then we will submit that, and see what we get after that, which we should be good. Committed my changes. I'll go ahead and clear all this out, and we'll go ahead and reload Google. Notice looks like some objects are missing in the page. There we go. So when we take a look here, we have TCP-MS 200s throughout all three GET requests. We can see the GET requests, and there's some more actually. So we actually have quite a few. And we still have a denied, which I'm not going to fix. I really don't care to fix it. And that's this guy right here. And that has to do with chat, I believe. Yeah, it has to do with actually internet media. So go ahead and leave that. And these are the basics to troubleshooting URL issues. I now want to show you how to actually decipher the access logs. So when you're in the GUI or WSA, just go up to Support and Help, go to Online Help, and when it comes up, click on the Search tab, type Access Logs, and depending on what version you're on, if you're on 7.5, it's going to show up as page 70. If you're on anything below 7.5, 714, 713, 711, 710, it's going to show up as page 72 access log file. And essentially, what we're looking at here is this grayed out box right here. We're essentially looking at one request made by the PC. And from starting at the very top, working our way from left to right, we can follow these fields down here to determine what they mean. Now, I'm going to give you some hints here. As we were talking previously, or as I was discussing previously, this field is very important. That's something you want to key in on when you're troubleshooting. The other thing is make sure you're looking at the right request by looking at what is being requested. In other words, am I looking at the website that is having the problem, or am I looking at something else? So obviously make sure you're looking at the right request. The next particular field is that comes directly before the access policy is this particular field, which is your Acl Decision Tag. That's going to tell you whether it's allowed or denied. And then obviously we want to keep working our way over from left to right on the second line. And you notice this says, hey, this is your position for your access policy or your decryption policy, whether you're dealing with HTTP or HTTPS. And the next thing you want to look at is identity. This is very important. Access policy and identity, you need to know where these requests are being, what these requests are being processed against in terms of identities and access policies. I pretty much don't worry about any of this here when troubleshooting. I mean, for the most part, if there's going to be a malware issue and one of the services is going to pick it off, it will be listed in here. So if you just see, none, ignore it. Come over to your category, understand which category you're hitting. This one's showing computers. It's showing the WBRS score, a positive 6.9. So this request is actually good to go. And as you can see here, you have your transaction result codes. They have a list of them. I would recommend printing this out and putting it on your partition or wherever you can, as well as printing out the access logs or being able to read the access logs. Oops, lost my access log page. I would also print this page out. Another thing I would also recommend, and I'll bring up my Chrome browser for this so I'm not filtered, I would also recommend Google HTTP status codes, and I would print this page out as well that I'm going to. This is pretty good as far as telling you what a 200 is. And we saw TCP miss 200, it means the request was fulfilled. You can also see some, let's see here, some 301s, 302s, 303s, and 304 is very common to see those, and those are all successful. The ones you really want to be concerned about, you can at times get a 503, and of course your 404. Those are not usually related to the WSA being the problem. If you're getting a 503, check your L4 traffic monitor. You can test it by whitelisting the site and then trying to go to the site, and if you still can't get there, it's obviously not your L4 traffic monitor. The other issue is, too, if you see the forbidden 403, that means your access policy is blocking you, and you need to look at it and determine what's going wrong. Other than that, I believe that is about it. Um, let's figure out how to stop this thing. Oh, there we go.